Why is this not working? Connected. Clear. Okay, the light's not so great here. It's not so. Hang on 1 second.
That's better. What did you do there? Can you leave that door open?
Yeah.
The light's crazy awesome when that door's open. Yeah, boom.
Boom.
Yeah, you're almost too bright now. You can drop the blind a little.
Yeah, the trouble is it's going to impact our sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that works.
All right. Welcome to the online class. Hello, world. We've got Jay here in New Zealand. Hope you can hear us. And yeah, let's go. So let's start with a check-in.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Jay checking in. Tired, excitement, which is a mixture of joy and fear. Yeah, and that's around what's going on with my mentoring business, some work that I did today, and I've had 2 beautiful days, full-on days of mentoring this young man here in New Zealand. And no real lows, lots of awarenesses, but no real lows. And with that, I'm in.
Okay. So I'm checking excited. Just come back from Middlesbrough, starting the training there, and just building on this platform and building the school so that we can create recovery capital. Have you got anyone else on the call?
Not that I can see on Zoom.
Okay. All right. Good.
Just the 2 of us. We can make it if we try. Just the 2 of us. Cool. You and I.
So let's plot out where we are.
Yeah.
So if the training is 3 modules, yeah, module 1, module 2, and module 3, we're about here in the training.
Yeah.
You've completed that much. Can you see the whiteboard?
Yeah.
Yeah? Great. Okay. So the first one's the conversation. Then the continuum. And then the system. Yeah? Can you see that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
And we're over here at the system now. And in the system part, we're looking to see how the system is changing through the conversations that you've been having and the continuum itself. Yeah. So we have co-creative collaborative conversations where you do the 3 C's. Yeah, you get the agenda from the client, you ask questions, you listen for needs, values, and purpose to get towards a goal, and then you end with action and accountability. And then you have the next conversation. Yeah? And that's the person's growth. And you have that conversation in the continuums of addiction, harm reduction, abstinence, yeah, codependent, interdependent, and then independent. And you sit in the center of all of this in crisis, chaos, and conflict. Yeah? And then the idea is to get our individuals to start moving in that area. to move from a culture of addiction to a culture of recovery. Okay? Now, what we want for you as the coach is to be able to step back and to look at the conversation and to see how the client's going and how the client's moving to specific goals. And those ones are responsibility, support, and accountability. Yeah. Sorry, I've got it wrong. It's not that it's wrong, but also what you're trying to get here on this continuous detachment. Yeah. So I'm able to detach, and that person's able to take responsibility and accountability for their actions and behaviors. So if somebody wants to continue using, misusing, abusing, or become dependent, they need to take responsibility for that and to be accountable for the consequences thereof. Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah? Okay. So, and your job is to show up in the center of all this and to keep yourself safe and grounded.
Yeah.
Okay. So how are you doing on that?
How am I doing on that? I've got some clients who have stopped showing up.
Okay.
I haven't, like, from everything that you've covered, I haven't looked, find, or asked around clear goals moving forward for some of them. So that's something that I want to get back to. I've been very good at making sure that there is some sort of action moving forward, and then making sure I note that and check in with them around that after the check-in and the next call. So I feel like I've got the action and the accountability piece covered. I want to get back to the goals piece. Support, responsibility. Yeah, interesting. Like, in regards to the young man that I'm mentoring, he has no desire to actually stop using.
Right. Correct.
So I guess I am around those conversations. Of course, I'm not enabling or supporting his use, but just simply asking questions without, I mean, I'm going to be seeing him 4 days a week, you know, so I don't want to bug the crap out of him, but I do ask him how it makes him feel. And I guess what came up for me in that is to be aware of, in the future with him, tying consequences to the action of still using.
Okay.
So he can see those, that's a consequence of using. Because I wonder whether he connects the two at the moment.
Give me 1 second, Joe. I just want to get a tissue to clean the board. Hang on. Okay, so you've got all this, yeah?
Yeah.
Terrible board wiper. Just looks like a smudge now.
Yeah. A big, pretty pink smudge.
Okay, and the reason why I want to clear the board is I want to talk about supportive vision, yeah, not supervision, supportive vision.
Yeah.
So you've got, You've got Jay there, the coach. Yeah. You've got your client.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got the support division. So my job in this situation is to support you in with your client and to focus on the conversation there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
So that this remains a coaching-based conversation. So you maintain the boundaries and the role of a coach. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, for sure, it makes sense. Totally. What comes up for me around that is that in this situation, I am his mentor as well.
Great.
So it's not, it's not an hour-long coaching session. So I am with him up to 6.5 hours a day. So there is, what I'm finding is maintaining a balance where I don't necessarily jump on every single learning piece that comes up. I need to be very focused on his body language. At that point where his eyes glazes over and he's checked out of the conversation, I need to then change the conversation, change the direction, possibly the direction of the day. And focus on it being a slow and steady process overall. Okay, great. So what you're doing is you're having a conversation and the relationship's like this. Yeah, it's in this area here. I coach the person and I mentor the person. Yeah. So what you need to be able to do is, when are you stepping from here to here and from here to here? Does that make sense? Yeah. Like you're not coaching all the time, you're coaching and mentoring. Yeah. Mentoring is when you share your experience of. Okay. So you're above this line. You're holding it in the space of wellness, not in treatment. In treatment, you've got your social workers and doctors, and you'll have your school here as well, teachers and the police and whoever's there that also form part of the system of the conversation. Does that make sense? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So as your support advisor, just to make you aware of this part of the conversation as well. Yeah. Okay. Because essentially what's happening is, here in this relationship, you're getting the money, and you're being paid to provide emotional support. Emotional support for the client? Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Because Jay, please can you sort this guy out, because this guy's having an impact on the community. Yeah. All right, sure, I'll help. And you speak to your client, and then your client's going, well, fuck that, I don't want to stop taking drugs. I still want to behave in an antisocial way. Yeah. And they might want you to be able to sort the client out. Well, I can sort him out, I can give him love and support, but I can't get him to stop taking drugs. Yeah. And then how you get impacted by that. Yeah, exactly. Because that hasn't come up yet, but I have had conversations with him where I have asked, so what happens when there's a requirement for you to pass a drug test?
Great question.
You know, so I asked, and I've put, and then I've put quite a bit of effort. We had quite a beautiful session today, well, a beautiful moment in our day, a teaching moment, where I highlighted determination and the end goal. So he's got a pretty clear end goal, but I highlighted that to get to that end goal, he's going to be determined to move through obstacles, possibly being drug tests, having to do the stuff with me that he doesn't like so much, the education stuff, those pieces. So that was a beautiful, a beautiful awareness to see him grasp that there is an end goal and that he's going to need to be determined and possible and move through some boundaries to get there.
Great. Okay. So if we look at this block here, there's some tasks he needs to complete. There's like practical things he needs to achieve. And he's going to have feelings around it. Sometimes he's going to go, fuck that shit, I don't want to do this. And other times it's going to be, God, I love you so much for helping me and supporting me through this.
Definitely.
So these tasks here in the coaching space, the client comes up with the answers. And in the mentorship space, you share your experience and teach and mentor. Okay.
This is so perfect.
Okay. So in your you've just got to go and do some more things now, like the online exam and complete all that sort of thing. Certified in a couple of weeks. All right. And if I was to step over here and say, so what is it you need? How can I still support you on this?
So in regards to I just need to find the online exam and sit it. I need to do my own journal around my continuum from the beginning of this process through to where I am now, which would be an interesting piece. That's what I need to do.
Okay.
How can you support me in that? I would say provide some accountability and some deadlines over the next wee while. The story that comes up in my head around that is that everything is so full on with a family group conference coming up around this mentoring position, solidifying the position, getting my funding grant come through. I've got a lot on.
Okay.
But in saying that, I really do want to, do all this, get it done.
Okay. So let's move our conversation back down here to supporter vision.
Yeah.
And the supporter vision conversation with you is in this space. Yeah. So as your peer, I'll say, well, fuck, this is what I did, and I can share my experience, and we can chat in this way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
So supporter vision's more about us sharing our experience and kind of stay ethically on track and to question thinking and, to be supportive in this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So how much money are you getting for this?
The invoice that I've just put through, the first.
Hello?
I don't really care. But I'm basically looking at, for the next period of time that I've put in, it's 25K plus.
Sorry?
And that's 25,000 New Zealand dollars plus, upwards of 25,000 New Zealand dollars.
25 what? For one session? For a year? For
no, 3 months. 3 months.
3
Just
months.
over 3 months.
How many hours is that?
To be exact, it is 479.
And what's the hourly rate there?
For this, for what I've set up with this program, $50.
Good for you, mate. Fucking high five. Well done. Jesus Christ. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
Sending in the invoice today was pretty cool because, out of the almost $27,000, like 25 or 25 something was just my labor, just my coaching, mentoring.
Good stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting.
Great. Okay. So as a professional recovery coach, you charge money to provide a service. And in this contract that you've done, you've provided a service where you're doing coaching and mentoring. Yeah?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And your client's sending you the money, who's at the government?
The organization, government organization, yes.
Okay. So you're working for government. Great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And now we've got to see what the outcomes are, the successes for the client.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the outcome of this is training.
Yeah. I mean, the outcome that I'm looking for the client is for him to become a self-sufficient young man who's doing what he loves, but being able to contribute back to society, and move forward as an inquisitive questioning learner who contributes and fits into society, but also gets to do exactly what he loves and what he's passionate about. That's my outcome.
Fantastic. Okay. So in the relationship with him, you need to be filling up this space. Yeah. With what it is you want your client to be empowered around. So you said self-sustaining, accountable, being able to take responsibility for himself. So that's great. So as you're working with him, you'll be seeing how are we doing here, and giving feedback to the sponsor, to the person that's paying this.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that system works yet. No one's actually told me how I'm meant to be feeding back to them, but I feed back to the parents, and so I guess that's that part of that system that I feed back to.
Okay, great. So we don't know what the outcome's going to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
However, we know what we're going to be teaching, and here's the evidence that I've done that, and here's the paper trail for that, and here's how I can prove that I've done both my sides of the street.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. So as your supervisor, yeah, or your supportvisor, I think you're well in integrity and on track.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's the goal here for me has definitely been about stepping more into the coaching role. You know, I've been doing really well at mentoring and picking up on learning moments where I can expand on ideas and turn them into learning moments. But definitely asking him more around, what he sees as possible around some of those things. And I think that's the perfect timing for me to start using that a bit more too.
Okay, good. So what are some of the ethics around here?
Some of the ethics around here is keeping myself safe. Is that ethics?
No, that's safety.
Yeah, well, showing up as a role model. Ethics, not openly supporting his drug use, but at the same time not condemning it. Being honest.
So remaining neutral on the substance abuse.
Yeah. Remaining neutral on the substance abuse. Being very honest with him. And respecting his choices. Treating him like an equal.
Okay. So
I don't know whether it's quite an ethic, but
well, we need to talk about ethical boundaries.
Yeah.
And so obviously you're not going to get into any kind of sexual relationship with any of your clients.
For sure.
Business relationships with your clients, can be I saw a client this week for a chemistry session that was a deeply traumatized man, but very racist. And I declined the contract because I would not be able to kind of be there for him in a way that was kind of ethically in the role of coaching, just because my own fucking triggers would be too much hard work for me. And so it's completely out of my realm. The guy needs to go and get his trauma worked on and go and work on this and work on that, because fuck, I'd end up wanting to, confront the guy. Be dangerous for me. And
for sure. And that would keep you out of presence.
Yeah, well,
challenge the relationship.
And I needed to trust my gut on this, not my head. But I also need to bring in an ethical thinking and care. Like, this guy's a human being. He's been impacted for his role within a system that's, pretty fucked at the moment as far as my own kind of political views are. So that was difficult for me. And so ethically, what I did is I had the ethical conversation with the family and just saying, listen, this isn't suitable for me. This is what, what your loved one needs. And then they wanted to put him in treatment. Yeah. And then I had to think about the population that's in our treatment facility. It just wouldn't work for anyone.
Yeah.
We'd all be focusing on kind of racism when we should be focusing on substance abuse and recovery.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So it gets a mesh.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. Yeah. And then he wouldn't be getting the service that he's there for, and everyone would have a monologue going on around the racism, which is understandable.
Which becomes an outside issue of what we're contracted to do.
Yeah.
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 So the boundaries, it's really becomes difficult dancing with the yes, no, the and or type environment, because the world often wants and it's like, well, yes, no, could maybe.
Yeah, they want it very clear cut, and they want some specific results, and that's a conversation that myself, this young man, have had around what results and what their expectations are versus what my expectations and my vision are, and that we're going to have to tick some of those boxes for him to be able to move into living his passions and living his dreams, which is what I've put out for him as the end goal. And that's his end goal too, is to do what he loves doing.
Which is what?
So it's going to be minus the robbing banks. Maybe taking drugs and making music is what he'd like to do ultimately.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, he's pretty keen on making music. He's very much into mountain biking and motorbiking. So there's a lot of very cool stuff that we can get into.
Okay.
But we spoke about that end goal today, and he said he would do pretty much anything to make a career in music and art, music and art happen for him.
Okay, so that sounds really nice. So then the conversation can be around how his substance abuse is getting in the way of his music and his art.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to go and play a gig, but I was too hungover to do it. So I missed the gig, and then that impacted my career. And
and I mean, as I spoke to that today, by not being motivated and not moving forward and just getting high when you're bored doesn't move anything forward. Whereas if he's writing music, if he's starting to write his songs, then he's moving forward. If he's keeping, the substance abuse to a minimum and doing what we're doing here with me, he's going to be moving forward on that front as well.
What kind of music?
We actually, specifically rap.
Rap. Okay.
Yeah.
And what are in his lyrics? What's his lyrics about?
I haven't heard any of his lyrics to date, but he has told me that it's very much kind of dark, dingy, kind of gangster rap. But that invoked a conversation because we've been watching, as a bit of a history research buzz, we've been watching the Defiant Ones on Netflix.
Okay.
Which is all about Jimmy Levine and Dr. Dre and producing music and how that picture's unfolded from the 80s through to today. I spoke specifically today about, in regards to making it big in music, you have to have something that you are speaking to. Those who have made it big have been telling a story. They've been portraying that part of themselves in a way that's not just randomly rapping about sex, drugs, and guns and gangsters. You know, they're actually telling a story, even if that story is around some of those things. But there's also the other part to their music. So, yeah, that was a cool conversation we had today too.
Oh, it sounds like such a nice little contract.
Oh, it's a beautiful piece. Absolutely beautiful piece. We had a really cool piece around forgiveness came up the other day. And he asked me some question about whether I was able to forgive someone for something. And I said, well, yes and no, because I've been able to forgive them for it in a way of letting go of it myself. So I'm no longer drinking that poison or sitting with that anger and upset. I haven't made what they did okay by any state of the imagination, but I've forgiven them in the sense that I've let go of holding on to the emotions and anger and upset around it. And then he brought a very present and very real life example from his life to the piece. And I managed to tie that in really well, and beautiful teaching piece. So he had a full-on example right there in front of his face in his life of something that, if he chose to, it could eat him up.
Okay, great. So I just want to bring some awareness. We're talking about one of your clients. We're broadcasting this stuff live. We, it's, what are the ethics around that? How do you feel about this?
So I mean, that did come up earlier around speaking to how much I say around that. And I guess I would like to, I think of what's possibly beneficial for everyone else, but at the same time, keeping his identity safe. So not actually using his name, and not speaking necessarily for what he experienced, but for what I experienced around that. And I hope I've done that this evening.
So you have. So as we've been having the conversation, I've been monitoring as well myself and us, and just kind of so we haven't mentioned any names. We're having a conversation around supervision or supervision, and we're keeping it in this space, and we're being respectful to the confidentiality to a point. However, your client should know that you're going to be giving feedback, to the people within the system.
Yeah, for sure.
In a loving way. Because one of the other challenges is with substance abuse is the system gets hijacked by confidentiality. Yeah. And the people in the system can kind of split the system by saying, I'm just telling you this because you're special and I can trust you, but please don't tell anyone else. And then we get taken emotional hijack and hostage. And that person actually goes around and tells all the individuals in the system, shh, I'm only telling you this, don't tell anyone. And the system then gets split because they create a special relationship with each of the individuals. So the clients need to know, listen, mate, I'm part of a team. So when I go into business coaching, I'm working with HR, I'm working with your line manager, and I'm working with you. And the type of content I'll give back is matter of fact, open and ethical and safe and making sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. So we don't build that type of therapeutic relationship that therapists have with their client. Clinical psychologists are often very very boundarized and very like, if you see them in the street, they'll kind of ignore you. Whereas a coach, will be, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm your coach. We're not friends. I'm his coach. But it's not like a confidential thing. Yeah.
Whereas as a mentor, it almost, I wouldn't say it blurs the boundaries anymore, but spending that amount of time with them, I was out in pub with them today, and I was very wary of not getting, I should say, not sticking to the plan of what needed to be done to fulfill the requirements for, the government.
Okay.
So that came up a couple of times today where I had to put some boundaries down and go, look, this is what I have to do in regards to this. And I'm not here I'm here to stick. I've got to stick to some of those boundaries.
Okay.
This is what I'm here to do, and this is what I'm going to do.
All right. So did you say you met him in a pub?
No. I was just out with him in a social environment. So I pick him up from his house in the morning.
Yeah.
We come back to my house, plan the day. Sit in the shared space, plan the day, speak to any learning that comes up, and have a cup of coffee and do those kind of things, and then we move through the activities that we plan and lay out for the day.
So I thought what you said is I met him in a pub, and that might bring up some challenges. I met my client at the crack house, because I wanted and to be fair, if that was happening and it was about building rapport and relationship, then go for it. But as long as there was some consciousness around it, personally, I'd feel uncomfortable about meeting somebody with a substance abuse problem, that was a minor in a pub, because everyone else would have an opinion about it. Yeah? Yeah,
exactly.
And they might not understand, and they'd go, what the fuck were you thinking? Are you mad? Are you fuck Jesus? And then you set yourself up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I hear you, for sure. No, I was saying we're in a public place. So I had to be, it could have been quite easy to just go with the flow. But no, I had to set some boundaries and say that this is what we're doing, this is why we're here and what we're getting. And I'm not about to change that and blur the boundaries to benefit myself in any way, shape, or form outside of the contract that is set.
Okay, cool.
That makes sense.
That makes complete sense. So I take the client back to my house and then we meet. Yeah. So if I took the client back to my house and I took him into my bedroom and we had a discussion in the bedroom, that might also people. Yeah. Do you know what? You know what society's like. They're so they mention sex and people can fucking freak out completely. Yeah. So
just mention going and hanging out in your bedroom with a client, and people could
So this is all about keeping yourself safe, huh? Because we really go out for our clients. We really love and care for our clients. Any good coach would, yeah. And we're dealing with people that have got some strong feelings, and
definitely. definitely, even if they are pretty on lockdown, in my judgment.
So my judgment is, my professional judgment as a peer to support you. I think you're doing great. I think ethically you're kind of towing the line, whatever that means, but you're keeping things safe and supportive, and you're clear around the duality of the role that you've got, and the duality of the client relationship, and the systemic challenge that you might be facing. Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
On many levels.
Yeah, and something that I've kept in mind is what we've discussed around the possible trauma when someone's changing, and then going back to a system that to a degree expects them to be a certain way, and how that can affect the others in that system. So I've kept that very much in mind. And that's a tricky piece.
What's tricky about it?
Yeah. What's tricky about it? Speaking to ethics, it's probably not something I can share entirely live.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but
that was a good boundary, Jay. That was a good boundary. That was good. Hang about. I'm not prepared to talk about that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. But I understand where there's going to be possibility for other conversations within the team, so to speak, to support them, to support the client.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then you're using now more into development work. So now you're using coaching to influence, coaching and mentorship to influence people and the relationships within the environment. And now you're developing the organization of how we can deliver best on what the values are and the goals of that organization. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. The overall goals of the entire team organization. Yeah, and that's something I'm just keeping aware of. And it's a conversation that may have to take place later on down the track, and that's cool. I'm willing, and cool.
Did most of this, and you can call yourself a professional recovery coach, yeah. The next thing is you're going to become a professional recovery coaching facilitator. You're going to teach
What's that, sorry?
You're going to teach this, yeah? So you'll get Yeah? Okay. So how do you sit? Yeah? And the next thing you're going to teach is the learning environment and continuums. Archetypes, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, and steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was the second one? Learning environment and continuum?
And the continuum. So use, misuse, abuse, dependence, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And the other one's adult learning styles. Yeah. All right.
Adult learning starts. Learning starts.
And you're going to do that twice.
And then, so, what we got? Okay, just see that. And I'm going to do that twice.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And then the third thing is if you want to move on to that at another time, yeah, we have the Recovery Wellness Program. Yeah, which is a real substance abuse intervention that's like an outpatient type service, community service, if you choose to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Outlining stories. So, in regards to the conversation, it was the conversation where it sits. And what else? In regards to that, it was just a conversation where it sits, how that's placed.
This is kind of learning environments.
That's up with the continuum,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So around the conversation, it was just a conversation where that sits and that process of the setting the container and having the conversation.
And if you do all that, you need to be a recovery coach and a facilitator to be able to facilitate the Recovery Wellness Program, which is a daily program, an outpatient program that runs every day for 3 modules. Yeah, so it's split like this. And the first week is spiritual principles.
Yeah.
The second module is the brain and the mind. Yeah. And then the third module is community and growth.
Spiritual principles, the brain and the mind.
Community and growth.
And community and growth. Cool. That sounds so super juicy. And hopefully by that stage, I'll have enough money to come and do some of this in person.
Cool. Cool. Okay, so you've got 2 more fellow students that are starting on the first week of August. Yeah, Kylie and Ricky in the UK. And yeah.
Oh, Ricky that I spoke to online?
Yes.
Cool. Very cool.
All right. And we need to decide on a time.
The call?
Yeah, that works for all of us.
Yep, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah, I'm in the middle, soon to be looking at changing the time around my MKP call on Tuesday night. But yeah, I'm totally willing to have that conversation.
Okay, great. All right, so let's check out, because I just want to phone you back using workplace chat for a second and just see how that works for us. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful. So checking out, feeling very full of a big download, but